There is a version of you that is greater than the life you're living today, greater than your fears, greater than the problems you face, greater than the approval you still seek without even realizing it. That version has always been there, waiting for one simple decision: to stop repeating the same behaviors every single day. Because if you keep doing exactly what you do today, the outcome won't change. You'll end up where most people end up: tired, frustrated, dependent on the approval of others, and slowly dissatisfied with your own life. Today, you're going to learn 10 rules that separate those who build their own lives from those who simply let time pass. This isn't for everyone. Most people reach the end of life with the feeling that they could have done more, lived more, tried more. But if you stay until the end, 2026 won't be just another year. It will be the moment you stopped reacting and started steering your own life. Now focus on yourself, reduce the noise, organize your mind, and notice how everything changes when you take control. Rule 1. It's time to focus on yourself, because no one else is going to live your life, make your decisions, or pay the price for you. There's something almost no one accepts with maturity. No one is really taking care of you the way you imagine. Everyone is busy fighting their own fears, their own frustrations, their own failures. And yet you keep looking sideways, comparing yourself, measuring your life against others, trying to understand why they seem to be doing better. Without realizing it, you abandon your own path. Tell me if this has ever happened to you. You wake up with an idea, with energy, with the desire to do things differently. You grab your phone just for a moment, and in less than a minute you're inside the life of someone you don't truly know. You start doubting yourself, feeling inferior, not because your life is bad, but because you stepped into someone else's edited showcase at the wrong moment. Your focus is lost before the day even begins. Stoicism understands a simple and liberating truth. You don't control what others do, but you do control where you place your attention and who you choose to become. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up asking, "What is everyone else doing?" He asked himself, "What must I do today so I don't betray myself?" That question changes everything. It's like adjusting the steering wheel before you hit the gas, because running fast means nothing if you're heading in the wrong direction. When you focus on yourself, the noise fades, anxiety loosens its grip, and direction becomes clear. There's a simple example. Jesus didn't chase the crowds followed him. Why? Because there was clarity. When you know who you are, you don't need to chase validation. When you don't, anything can distract you. We live in dangerous times. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone displays perfect highlights. Everyone hides their exhaustion and disguises their pain. And by looking at this every single day, you start asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? The answer is uncomfortable. Nothing, except looking where you shouldn't. Comparison doesn't improve anyone. It only slows down those who are already on the right path. Maybe you know someone like this. They aren't smarter, they don't work harder, they aren't more talented than you, yet they move forward. Why? Because they're busy building themselves while you hesitate, overanalyze, and hold back, not from lack of ability, but from too much comparison. Machiavelli was blunt. Those who get distracted watching others lose their advantage. Power isn't built by observing, it's built by executing. In 2026, those who stay focused move forward. Those who get distracted only watch. There is no middle ground. Maybe the problem isn't that the world is against you. Maybe the problem is that you're still not working in your own favor. You waste energy trying to please, to fit in, to prove your worth, when you should be learning, strengthening yourself, and enduring. No one is going to live your life for you. No one is going to carry your dreams. No one is going to pay the price that is yours. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's responsibility. It's doing what needs to be done when no one is watching, when no one praises you, when there is no applause. It's reducing the noise, closing unnecessary doors, and moving forward even when there is no company. In 2026, fewer opinions, fewer comparisons, fewer distractions. more focus, more silence, more inner work. Because when you finally lift your head, you won't be looking at others anymore. They'll be the ones looking at you. Rule 2. You need to learn how to control your emotions. Every time you answered in anger, every time you reacted out of pride, every time you spoke at the wrong moment, it was you who got hurt and lost power. And the worst part is that you did it believing you were defending yourself. Think about it. Do you remember that argument that kept you awake at night? That message you sent while you were upset? That impulsive reaction that felt necessary at the time? And then came the silence, followed by regret. Why did I say that? In that moment, it wasn't you speaking. It was emotion speaking for you. Emotions don't think, they react. The Stoic understands something brutal and liberating. It's not what happens to you that hurts you. It's what you do with what happens. Life will provoke you. People will test you. The system will pressure you. The question was never whether this would happen, but how you will respond when it does. Self-control doesn't make you weak. It makes you untouchable. It's like trying to hit someone who refuses to enter the game. There is no target. Jesus was insulted, humiliated, provoked, and still didn't react impulsively, not because he couldn't, but because he knew exactly who he was. Those who know who they are don't need to shout, explain, or justify themselves all the time. And you? How many times have you reacted just to feel like you were right? The truth is simple. When you make your enemy lose control, the control is already yours. Every emotional reaction makes you predictable, and what is predictable is easily manipulated. Whoever provokes you doesn't want dialogue, they want your reaction. When someone argues with you, their goal is to knock you off balance, and many times they succeed. Maybe someone ignored you, belittled you, or spoke badly about you, and you reacted. You explained yourself, complained, tried to defend your name. The result? They stayed calm, and the burden stayed with you. The one who reacts always pays the price. Learning this lesson will spare you from the emotional impulsiveness of 2026. Not everything deserves a response. Not everything deserves an explanation. Not everything deserves your energy. Sometimes true power is doing nothing, and that's hard, because the ego wants to defend itself at any cost. In 2026, don't react immediately. Don't respond when you're hurt. Don't speak in anger. Breathe, observe. Decide with your mind, not with impulse. Emotional silence is an advanced form of intelligence. The world may reward those who shout, but it respects those who control themselves, those who govern themselves. A person who doesn't explain themselves, doesn't explode, doesn't fall apart in public, intimidates without saying a word. Apply this to your daily life. Fewer impulses, fewer outbursts, fewer reactions. More control, more clarity, more power. Because those who govern themselves will never be dominated by others. Rule 3, discipline. There is a place where most lives are defined, and almost no one pays attention to it. It's not on the stage, not in the achievement, not in the moment when everything goes right. It's in the closed room, on the ordinary day, in the silent exhaustion, when there is no audience, no pressure, no applause. No one sees what you do when you're tired. No one applauds when you keep going without desire. No one recognizes you when you choose not to quit, and yet you persist. It's in this silent point that everything is decided, whether your life will change or whether it will simply pass by you. Most people don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they don't sustain what they start. They get excited, they promise, they begin motivated, but when support doesn't come, the energy fades and discipline disappears with it. They quit not because they can't do it, but because they don't stay long enough. Consistency is continuing when motivation is already gone. Discipline isn't a personality trait, it's daily training. The Stoic doesn't wait for desire. He acts despite its absence. Marcus Aurelius didn't write, "I will do what makes me feel good." He wrote, "I will do what needs to be done." Discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it asks who you are becoming. The Bible doesn't promise constant comfort, it promises a harvest to those who persevere. The one who is faithful in little will also be entrusted with much. Today, many people want big results without accepting small sacrifices. They want reward without process, blessing without obedience. And life doesn't work that way. Maybe that's you. You know what you need to do, you know where to start, but you delay change because no one forces you, no one supervises you, no one will punish you if you fail. And that's the problem. Freedom without discipline turns into self-sabotage. Men change when necessity forces them, not when they are advised. That's why true power doesn't come from depending on external pressure, but from creating internal pressure, doing the work even when you don't feel like it, acting even when you're tired, continuing even when no one is watching. Listen, the world is not coming to save you. No one is. It will pressure you every single day, and if you give up, no one will absorb the impact for you. Discipline or dependence. That decision is always individual. Discipline is getting up when you want to stay still, staying silent when you want to complain, moving forward when you still can't see the results. Discipline isn't announced, it isn't posted, it isn't assumed. It's practiced and time does the rest. Today, many people confuse discipline with intensity. They go all in for a week, demand a lot from themselves for a few days, and then disappear. But the winner doesn't run all the time. He walks with steadiness every day. In 2026, don't chase daily motivation, build daily habits, because one day you realize that what seemed small was exactly what was changing everything. What you do when no one is watching determines who you will be when everyone is watching. Rule 4. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. Respect is not requested. Respect is earned through posture, not through speeches. You've lost more respect trying to explain everything than because of your mistakes. Making mistakes was never the problem. The problem was feeling like you had to justify yourself all the time. Most of the time, you explain yourself to people who weren't there when you were struggling. And still, you feel like you owe them something. A justification, context, a detailed explanation. Maybe this has happened to you. You made a decision for yourself, set a boundary, chose a path. It was hard, but necessary. And right after that came the impulse to explain. It's not exactly like that. Let me explain better. Maybe you misunderstood. Not because you were wrong, but because you unconsciously taught others that you needed their approval. Those who explain too much teach the world to question everything they do. The Stoic understands this. What you do with conviction doesn't need explanation. Marcus Aurelius didn't live trying to convince anyone. He didn't govern by the opinion of the crowd, but by his own principles. When you over-explain, it's like putting your decision on the table for a vote. A firm decision is a closed door. Explaining too much leaves it open, waiting for someone to push it. Jesus didn't try to be understood by everyone. He didn't explain everything, didn't convince everyone, wasn't accepted by everyone, and still he moved forward. Those who walk with purpose accept being misunderstood. It hurts the ego, but it brings peace. When you constantly justify yourself, you put yourself at a disadvantage. Defending yourself all the time sends the message that you owe something. Firmness creates respect. Excessive explanation invites intrusion. Take this into real life. You over-explain at work, justify personal decisions, clarify choices that were never meant to be debated. The result is almost always the same. More questions, more judgment, more invasion. When you explain everything, you give others permission to weigh in on your life. Remember this, not everyone deserves context. Not everyone deserves access. Not everyone deserves answers. Sometimes silence is the most complete response. In 2026, decide, act, and stand your ground. If someone didn't understand, that's not your problem. Your role is not to convince, it's to live with integrity. People confuse explaining with being polite and justifying with being a good person. But the world doesn't respect those who explain everything. It respects those who remain firm. And when you stop over-explaining, you'll notice something simple and powerful. Less wear and tear, less conflict, more respect. You don't lose your humanity, you reclaim your power. Rule 5, learn to endure solitude. That's where your true self is forged. There comes a moment when the noise fades, the phone stops ringing, no one calls, no one asks, no one checks on you. And that's the moment almost no one can tolerate. Maybe you're in that place right now, not because you're antisocial, not because you're cold or distant, but because you no longer fit into the spaces where you once belonged. Before, you were always surrounded by people. There was always someone. You were needed. Now, the silence shows up, and it hurts. It hurts more than you like to admit. But understand this clearly. You are not alone because you failed. You are alone because you are changing. No one prepares you for this moment. You were taught to avoid silence, to fill every void, to never be alone with your own thoughts, because thinking hurts, remembering hurts, accepting hurts. The Stoics don't run from solitude, they embrace it. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but the hardest decisions he faced alone, inside his own mind. That's why he wrote, "Retreat into yourself." He knew that it is in silence that you find yourself. Jesus also withdrew. He went into the desert, not to escape, but to grow stronger. Before the pressure, before the betrayal, before the greater weight, he was alone. Solitude wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Maybe this explains what you're feeling today. You were always available. You helped, you listened, you advised, you carried others. When you decided to focus on yourself, many disappeared. Not because you are a bad person, but because you stopped serving their needs. And that hurts. It hurts to realize that. Some people don't miss you. They miss what you used to provide. Understanding this is liberating. True power is built in isolation. Those who need company all the time become fragile, dependent, predictable. Those who can endure solitude gain clarity, discipline, and become difficult to manipulate. Maybe you ask yourself, why do I feel this way if I'm doing the right thing? Every justification stole a little of your clarity. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you shared something with enthusiasm and received silence, irony, or an empty smile in return? In that moment, you felt something close inside you, and soon the thought appeared. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. You were right. Not everything needs to be exposed to exist. The world isn't necessarily interested in your growth. Some people only want to know where you are so they can compare, comment, or use your story when you're not around. Not because they're evil, but because that's how things work. Marcus Aurelius didn't write to be admired. He wrote so he wouldn't lose himself, to remind himself of what mattered when the world became too loud. The Stoic learns a simple and hard truth. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Your process is not public. You don't owe explanations about your plans, your focus, your effort, or how long it will still take. Processes don't need applause. They need consistency. It's frustrating not to see results right away, but a seed doesn't grow faster because you keep digging up the soil to check on it. It grows in the dark, in silence, and only appears when it's ready. Even Jesus remained silent when words could have saved him, not out of weakness, but out of awareness. Not every truth needs to be defended out loud. Sometimes silence is simply internal alignment with what needs to be done, not explained. I'll be direct. Human beings want validation. They want to hear "you're right" before the results appear. But real growth happens when no one validates you and you keep going anyway. Today, everyone talks too much. They talk on social media, in groups. They talk about plans they don't execute and goals they don't sustain. They talk to avoid facing the emptiness. And while they talk, time passes. Those who talk too much just to feel alive end up living other people's lives. Machiavelli said this without guilt. Whoever reveals their strategy too early becomes vulnerable. Every time you explain what you're going to do, you give away an advantage. The world isn't naive, and focus doesn't survive constant exposure. Maybe you're the one who always listens, helps, advises, stays available, but when you need support, no one shows up. Not because they don't care, but because you taught the world that your energy was always open. In 2026, that ends. Pay attention. Keeping silent is not coldness, it's selection. It's stopping the flow of energy to those who don't know what to do with it. Silence doesn't weaken you, it makes you dangerously focused. This year, don't explain, don't promise, don't announce. Work. Improve. Persevere. Let results speak for you. Save your words, protect your mind. Keep silence, the rest will organize itself. Rule 7. Increase your faith. There is a comforting lie that deceives many people. Have faith and everything will work out. Faith is powerful, yes, but faith without action doesn't transform lives. It puts them to sleep. Belief alone is not enough. True faith always demands movement. Pray, trust, believe, but be honest. How many times have you said, God knows the right time. It will happen when it's meant to. I'm waiting for a sign. When in reality, you were just avoiding a decision. Not out of malice, but out of fear. The Bible doesn't teach passivity. It teaches action guided by faith. Noah built the ark before the rain. David walked toward Goliath before the victory. Peter had to step out of the boat before walking on water. Faith always asks for a step outside the safe place. God opens the way, but you have to walk it. The Stoic understands this clearly. He doesn't wait for life to get easier. He strengthens himself to face whatever comes. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for calm days. He prepared for hard ones. Do what is within your control. The rest doesn't depend on you. That too is mature faith. Opportunities don't appear for those who stand still waiting. They arise for those who move. Waiting without acting isn't faith. It's fear disguised as spirituality. Maybe you say, I want to change my life, but I can't. Then look at what you do every day. You say, I want to prosper, but repeat the same decisions. You say, I want peace, but refuse to set boundaries. You say, I want direction, but run from hard choices. And then you ask, why doesn't God answer? Maybe the answer already came, and you're the one who didn't stand up. Remember this. God doesn't bless intention, He blesses obedience, and obedience is almost always uncomfortable. It requires courage and asks you to abandon old versions of yourself. In 2026, fewer pretty phrases, less passive waiting, fewer spiritual excuses. More action, more discipline, more consistency. Pray, yes, but get up and do the work. The world is full of people who believe and empty of people who act. That's why almost everyone stays in the same place. When faith and action walk together, fear loses strength, doubt weakens, and the path opens. Real faith doesn't paralyze you. Real faith puts you in motion. Rule 8, the invisible cost of saying yes. Saying yes to everyone isn't generosity, it's self-sabotage. If you feel constantly tired, it's not just because of work. It's because you said yes too many times when deep down you wanted to say no. Every forced yes is a small betrayal of yourself. It doesn't seem serious in the moment, but it accumulates. Maybe this has happened to you. You helped even when you were exhausted. You listened to problems that weren't yours. You stayed available when what you really needed was silence. And then you thought, why doesn't anyone take care of me the way I take care of others? The answer is simple and harsh, because you never taught people to respect your boundaries. Boundaries are like fences. When they don't exist, anyone can walk in, step all over the place, take up space, take what they want, and leave. The Stoic understands something essential. If you don't govern your life, someone else will do it for you. Your time, your energy, and your attention, if they aren't protected, will be consumed. Saying no isn't rejecting people, it's protecting your own life. Marcus Aurelius didn't feel guilty about preserving his energy. He knew that without inner order, there is no balance. Look at a clear example. Jesus helped the crowds, but not all of them. He withdrew, rested, and said no when necessary. Even he set boundaries, so why do you feel guilty for doing the same? In practice, it works like this. What is available all the time loses value. When you always say yes, you become predictable. When you become predictable, you become exploitable. Maybe you answer everything immediately. You cancel your plans, postpone your goals to please others. The result is simple. Other people's lives move forward. Yours gets pushed to later. Every no you swallow turns into weight on your back, and you carry it every day without realizing it. Understand this once and for all. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you an honest one. Anyone who gets offended by your boundaries doesn't care about you, only about the access they had to your life. That's not friendship, that's convenience. In 2026, fewer excuses, less guilt, fewer explanations, more clarity, more firmness, more self-respect. Learn to say, I can't. I'd like to, but not right now. And then stay silent. The world tolerates those who give themselves away, but it respects those who govern themselves. You don't build a life by solving everyone else's problems. When you learn to say no to others, you finally begin to say yes to yourself. Rule 9. Use what happens to you in your favor. Nothing that happens to you leaves without a mark. Everything teaches something, even when it hurts. You've learned how to deal with good moments. When something goes right, you celebrate, move on, gain energy. But no one taught you what to do when something hurts. When pain shows up, most people just endure it, swallow it, pretend they didn't feel it, try to forget. And that's where many get lost. Pain is inevitable, but what you do with it is not. It can harden you, make you bitter, freeze you, or it can strengthen you. The difference isn't in what happened, it's in the choice you make afterward. When faced with pain, there are two clear paths. Some people use pain as an excuse to quit. Others use pain as fuel to change. The wound may be the same. The decision is not. Maybe someone betrayed you. Maybe you trusted too much. Maybe you gave more than you received. That hurts. But understand something important. The pain didn't come to break you. It came to wake you up. Pain is like fire. Those who panic get burned. Those who understand learn how to forge something stronger. The Stoic doesn't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" He asks, "What does this demand of me now? What do I need to change? What do I need to end? What do I need to strengthen?" Because he understands a simple truth. What doesn't destroy you can discipline you. Jesus didn't run from pain. He went through it. And that pain wasn't the end. It was a turning point, not as victimhood, but as purpose. Not all pain disappears quickly. Some of it transforms. Feeling isn't the problem. The problem is turning pain into a home when it was meant to be a passage. Use this pain to close cycles that are already over, to set boundaries where you once erased yourself, to focus energy where you once scattered it, to grow where you once merely endured. In 2026, don't place yourself as a victim. Don't stand still waiting for time to fix things. Don't turn suffering into an identity. Don't make excuses. Turn pain into discipline, into direction, into criteria. When you do that, the past stops chasing you because it finally fulfilled its role. Pain was never the problem. It was the warning. Rule 10. Become unrecognizable. True transformation makes no noise. It doesn't announce itself, doesn't ask permission, and doesn't explain. It happens on the inside, in silence, long before it shows on the outside. It's like a root growing in the dark, strengthening the tree before any fruit appears. One day, you look in the mirror and notice something different. You don't react the same way. You don't explain everything like before. You don't chase the same things, not because you became better than anyone else, but because you changed from within. This kind of change doesn't come from books or pretty phrases alone. It comes from real life, from losses, long silences, and hard decisions made when no one was watching. The Stoic doesn't seek recognition, he seeks consistency. Marcus Aurelius was clear: waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Becoming unrecognizable begins when you stop talking about values and start living them daily. The Bible summarizes this clearly. Anyone who is in Christ is a new creation, not a new appearance, not a new speech, but a new way of living. Real transformation doesn't need an audience. It needs consistency. It's doing what's right even when no one praises you, even when no one validates you, even when no one notices. Some people will find it strange, others will drift away, because when you change, you break the dynamics that benefited others. Before, you answered quickly, explained everything, were always available. Now you choose when to speak, decide calmly, and protect your energy, not out of pride, but out of responsibility to yourself. Becoming unrecognizable isn't becoming cold, it's becoming stable. It's not leaving the world, it's stopping yourself from getting lost in it. In 2026, less noise, fewer reactions, less need for approval, more focus, more presence, more conscious silence. And then something curious happens. People say you're different. They can't explain why, but they feel it. That's the sign the work was done. If this video helped you see things more clearly, leave a like, subscribe to the channel and share it. Here, we keep getting stronger.